to the weather forecast last week, and, snow Monday, snow Tuesday, and, it never happened. I was like, oh, chances snow actually happened.
Yeah. No, I am not wearing real shoes today. I have my sandals. So keeping
Of course you are.
tucked under my rear right now. All right, so I have started the meeting. Everybody, welcome to Land Use and Planning, November 24th, 2025. How is everybody?
Good.
Cool. Better now.
Okay, so we don't have a Patty. Again, we do have a snow though, so.
And I got the meeting minutes.
I did get the meeting minutes, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second
the
them.
minutes. Second.
We're good.
Motion passes. All right, little recap from the Community Tourism Grant meeting. And we have Tom here. Did you want to speak to that while you are here, Tom?
Sure,
I was
especially not why I came, but I'd be happy to speak to
Oh,
it.
well, I wasn't able to attend, so
Yeah,
Cliff Note version.
I think the Cliff Note version is, it was very well attended, which was great. I think there was very little, I think a lot of people really didn't know about the grant. That I think there was very little, there's 5 projects that were presented. Overall, the feedback on 3 of the projects was very positive.
Okay.
On 2 of the projects, there was a little bit of concern, to say the least. I think I would say on the project that involved improvements to Coal Miners Park, there was a little bit of concern from the Wildlife Sanctuary about lighting and, this was not recapping all the concern pieces, but lighting, noise, activity around the Wildlife Sanctuary would be how I would describe that. And then, definitely, there was definitely a crowd of people, I would say far from a majority, but that's probably my opinion on that, that were concerned about having the skate park in their backyard and having a permanent rink. And so, the positive side of the rink issue is that, it's much safer, it's easier to access, it's downtown, it provides economic development. That area has always been a rink, and it's really only a park because it was a rink. And then the concern is about noise in the neighborhood, activity in the neighborhood, having more people using the park, and then loss of green space. I would think that would be, I don't know, Patty was there, you were there.
Yeah.
That's how I would summarize it.
Yeah, I think the loss of green space has probably been the overwhelming comment I have heard from folks in opposition. There has been comments of just the busyness increase, but I think a lot of that is stemmed from another issue that we've been hearing in public health and safety, as well as throughout the board, with people having issues with speeding on Hauser specifically, and they just don't want to have that increased traffic, which I think is just part of the nature of living next to a commercial district.
Yes, and it's also where the road goes from a major road and ends up in downtown.
Yep.
So that is the challenge. It is a shortcut into town.
Yep.
I think that unless you stop that.
I've had one person recommend a cul-de-sac at the end of Hauser, right there at 78, kind of like how we have at the chamber.
Right. Oh.
From I will put on a different hat. From emergency services perspective, we would highly oppose that.
I figured as much.
And it's a transportation connection thing. You don't want dead end roads. You want transportation connection.
Yep.
As a general rule.
Yep. So anyhow, I think in terms of the presentations, the feedback that I have been getting is people wanting more information, and I've been getting opposition from folks that don't have information and aren't willing to seek it. So I think that's going to be a big piece, is just communicating more. And then in terms of the sanctuary, I've already spoke with BR about that as well, and I think that there's places for compromise. Absolutely. For sure. And again, I think just a more fleshed out plan being put out there would be helpful, because that was one thing I was hoping for personally on Wednesday.
I think that the confusion maybe there is that this meeting was to help get some feedback, to help solidify the plan. So we knew what the concerns were,
Yeah.
so then we could address the concerns in the plan.
That makes sense.
And so that was really the purpose. So, I think there are some people who felt like the plan was baked ahead of time, and there was a vision,
Mm-hmm.
but the plan wasn't baked. So, there was a lot of good feedback, I think, for adjustments that could be made to address the wildlife sanctuary
Yeah.
issues. And so that was, the purpose of the meeting was to say, hey, what do people think of this? And,
how can we adapt?
What are your concerns? So now the challenge is to take that information, go back and see if there's adjustments to the plan to be made based on the feedback, and then come up with a plan that can be a little bit more.
Gotcha.
And I think another thing that's important to understand, a lot of this funding is to make the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, this isn't even about necessarily having the plan, this is really about the idea that would then make the plan that would then be established. So,
Perfect.
I feel like I need a flow chart for this.
yeah, it is.
Weird.
I think,
Like we're working on that.
and I know this isn't controversial, but the funding for both the Arts Guild and the Chamber is really about just building a plan.
Yeah.
It's not about actually doing any work. It's
Yep.
about building a plan so that we can do work in the future. So we have a plan to make a plan.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's not a lot of detail, because the plan really is about making the plan.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really helpful because I went in with that same assumption and coming out now knowing that where it's like, oh, these are things that we would like to do. How would you do it? That dream board piece,
Yeah.
I think that was lost on a lot of folks,
Yeah,
including
they just
myself.
assumed that it was like, this is a drawing, it's already done, when are we breaking ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been getting a lot of that.
Not even close to,
Yeah, I was like,
not even close
no.
to that,
Yep.
stage yet.
Even my daughter was like, oh my God, did you hear? I'm like, no, I had no idea. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, I think that maybe explains a lot of why, and then the process now is to come to Parks for, especially for the ice thing and the coal miners, to come to Parks Board, to come to council and say, here's what we want to do. Then once we get that, then we would make a solidified plan.
Right.
That then would come back, so you want to get confirmation on the vision.
Yep.
Right? And then with that vision, then we develop a concrete plan that then would need to be approved and enacted.
Perfect. Question for when I get phone calls, because as you can imagine, I have had a few.
Yeah.
What is our next actionable steps for that committee in terms of helping put together and summarize the feedback that we're receiving? Is there a good point of contact, email that we can send people to
So there
directly?
was, and they put that, I don't have it on with me, but it is on the website.
Okay.
For the Community Foundation, and they put it up on that thing to say, here's where you can provide continued feedback.
And get more information.
And get more information, absolutely.
Okay.
So there's, there's lots of options there to try to give that feedback. Some of this is that we keep getting the same feedback consistently, which is, you're not gonna act differently. It's, we say, we don't want it.
Yeah.
That is not helpful feedback, right?
Yep.
Okay, we're worried about how it looks. Okay, that is helpful feedback. What do you think would fix that? Well, we want it to have nice okay, so we need to make sure there's trees, and we need to make sure that, the color of the concrete is maybe a darker color so that it looks nice. There needs to be, a fire pit around it so that there's places for people to hang out. It needs to be handicapped accessible. So you start to get things that you can do it. There's another piece. Is there another location? Okay, what are our other locations? Can you do it at Coal Miners Park? We looked at that. No, there's not physically enough space to do it in Coal Miners Park for the ice rink part and not lose the parking that everybody in Coal Miners Park thinks they need for soccer and for baseball and for school events. Okay, so then where else can you do it? So, is it important to keep it downtown and connected so kids can walk there and people can see it driving by when they come to the community? So there's pieces and alternatives that we can present, and I think you'll ultimately that will be the back and forth,
Okay.
Someone wanted to put it up at the airport because they don't like the airport. Well, okay.
Been hearing a lot of that one, too.
You know, that's, you know,
Yep.
why don't you put it up at the airport? We don't need the airport there.
I just-
Okay, well, that's a little hard thing
I
to
don't think
react
either
to,
of us
right?
like that.
Like, no, we don't want to get in the middle of that argument. So,
Yeah.
you know, so it's trying to get the real feedback and develop a plan based on the feedback and say, here's what we were able to address based on the concerns we heard, and here's what we're not able to address.
Mhm.
Perfect. Okay, that's really helpful.
Next plan of action, or next meeting or whatever that's proposed.
I think that there's another, we have a pilot tourism grant meeting scheduled. I think the next proposed piece would be, which we went to the Parks Board last meeting, and we asked if we could be on their next agenda to present to them what the vision is.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so what my anticipation is that it would, you know, it goes to Parks Board ultimately, and then it goes to council,
Mm-hmm.
and then,
Yep.
you know, so the alternative, the plan and the alternatives go to Parks Board, plan and alternatives then go to council. Council then
Parks Board.
approves it or doesn't, and then that gives us the vision.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
the Parks Board, but is that open to the public?
Parks Board? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
they're all
So just
publicly
the
announced
next
meetings, yeah.
meeting
Yep.
Where you guys will be,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
So does the Parks Board have veto power?
Kind of.
Not really.
Not really. They can either provide their recommendation for it, or they can provide their recommendations against it.
And then they present that to council, and council proceeds accordingly.
Yeah, they don't have authority.
Almost no advisory committee to the, including planning board, right? When we
Yep.
talk about land use and planning, everything they do is ultimately just a recommendation to
Mhm.
council. Now, it's a heavy weight, but it's
It is.
still a recommendation.
It is a heavyweight, yes. Yeah, without having like a parks department or a planning department, really, hard to
Yeah.
say that, but, okay, fabulous. Sorry, I have, I have a lot
No,
of
you're fine.
screens happening in my world right now.
Uh-huh,
Okay,
okay.
so
Yes,
I
we
know
do.
that, there is going to be another grant meeting specifically with that committee coming up as well, and I know that Jody will be going to that. in
Yeah, I think the
lieu
mayor
of
could see
Dave.
that, so I think that we were gonna invite you, that, you know, those are not public meetings, they're
Yep, I-
grant committee meetings.
I just wanted more
Thank
so
you. Yeah, thank you.
this table to be aware that that will be happening. Okay, so process for designating, you said you were here for something else. Is it here for that process, or did you have, I just want to make sure that if you want to go do something else with your evening, you're welcome
No, I think
to.
this is all interesting to me, I will tell you, I can do it at the end, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, just making sure. I hate wasting people's
Nice.
time, especially when it's snowing. All right, so process for designating, changing use of city-owned land, flow chart of application process. So a quick recap, we have been working on this flow chart. It is an extremely rough draft, mostly just helping provide direction to where we can start to fine tune, very similar to the conversation and the situation you are in. I think it was a little preemptive to send this to planning, and
Little
I
bit.
wish I could have sent it with a little bit better direction. So,
Yeah, I noticed that when it came back, I was like, wow, that's a lot of red.
well, it's 'cause, like, more
But it
so, I wanted them to be able to review it conceptually versus edits.
Grammatically?
Yeah, this isn't about edits at this point. It is about like, hey, in theory,
This is still-
is this
this is still
covering what
Springboard.
you want to add, or do you need to
Yeah.
add more? So again, misdirections, and miscommunication. So I am gonna pull
Wow.
up and share
Look at
the screen their edits, so hold tight, folks.
It's okay, bye.
Yeah, no, you're good. I
Okay,
just want to make
thanks.
sure I'm finding what it is that I need to look at. Well, we had a power outage for like 45 minutes.
There's a line on
Who knows? It's all free. Who knows?
there.
Let's see, where was,
Where is it? Is it under the?
I had it pulled up, and then apparently there we go.
This is the one that had all.
So here's the planner's recommendation.
Okay, yeah, did you send, where is it? Is it actually in, can I still get through it?
I think
Google?
it's sent to us via email.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Pilot, no. This one? No, those are the
No.
agendas. Pilot, for budget, claims. Down here?
Yeah,
Nope, those are the resolutions. I had it pulled up, like,
it was
Anyway.
process evaluation forwarded. And it looks like,
who sent it?
On my phone.
Oh, there
They
it is,
sent
got
it.
it.
got it?
Process,
Okay.
process for packet, I went right by it. Got it.
Yeah, poorly.
Recording in progress.
Oh, who's that? Okay, heard that
I disconnected.
feedback, and I'm like, oh, God.
Disconnected quick.
Okay, so this is our initial flow chart that we had sent over. I apologize, it is very hard to see on that.
It's in front of my face right now.
All right. So again, some of the edits on here is appreciated. Probably not the most necessary, but that's okay. So process for the review of projects or land use changes on land owned by the city of Red Lodge. Thank you, planners. So essentially, this is kind of the flow chart that we are thinking of. Letter of intent, that goes to the council for essentially, yes, move forward, or no, don't. Then there's a full, thorough application. Then that goes to the advisory committees for review. Then that goes to the city council for review, and then public hearing is needed, approval and completion, and then MOU review and renewal. So making sure that things are being brought back to the table time and time again, versus just living forever.
Yes.
Tony is playing Battlefield. I'm so glad that that's up on the city council. Sorry. So letter of intent, and I think kind of what we'll do is we'll just go through some of these edits,
Yeah.
and then from there we'll assign some homework. Don't worry, since I'll assign the homework so you don't have to.
I just think it's funny how he's like,
Yeah, no, it's, his edits are just like a lot. And so, anyway, providing an opportunity for city staff and city council to review the proposed project application to help them determine essential details that, to then direct applicants to move forward to the next step. So, it'll come to the city council outlining intention of the supporting and proposed project. I'm going back to our old one, sorry.
yeah, good, yeah. Well, and then down at the,
I appreciate his, like, we'll have him edit later, more so his, and, there we go. Letter of intent. So, things that this should have, and that's what I'm gonna put in here, is now what we need to include in this. So, need to help determine essential details to then direct applicants. So what essential details, I don't know if I want to get into that yet.
well, because down at the bottom, you scroll down to where it says council letter of intent review,
Mm-hmm.
and he's put in like his recommendation. So when we put in, we have the opportunity to review the letter,
Yep.
and then it's, you know, make sure it's preliminary support or not support of a council, but it just wants, I'm trying to
Yeah.
read through to make it make sense with both of our different edits. Provide additional requirements or criteria.
Yep. So has anyone been through a planning board conditional use application or, no, okay. So
I don't think I've ever had a reason to.
that's fair. So kind of part of my thought process with this
Mhm.
is this is essentially a conditional use permit. And so, and there might be additional conditional use permits that come from it, but truly what we're having is there's an application with, and I'll actually pull up I have one in here. What was the last? Sorry, everybody, you gotta go through my email.
Well, and like he has it, like, application at a minimum should include the following, and then he has a list of criteria that he suggests.
Okay.
Project, narrative, scope of the work, does it fit within the permitted conditional use of the zoning? Will a zone map amendment be required?
Yeah, so this is essentially what we have already in our conditional use
Okay,
permit.
so that's
this
where
is
I'm wondering if
perfect.
he pulled all that and just kind of
Yep,
moved it over.
put it into an actual form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does it cite the master plan, finding documents, growth policy, downtown master plan, et cetera?
Mm-hmm.
Request for city funding needed, grant application.
Yeah, so matching funds is
Yeah.
something that's gonna need to be budgeted for on a regular. Are we expecting money to come out of our parks fund, resort tax? Like, what other funds are you expecting to pay for this, whether that's short-term or long-term? Because again, I think about Lions Park, and there are expenses that come from Parks Board to maintain.
Mhm.
Now, granted, a lot of it's volunteer efforts, but can't always
Well,
rely
and
on.
then, you know, it goes back to the MOU, to,
Yep.
you know, the application and how long is that MOU for and what are their requirements and
Mhm.
in the event that they no longer.
Yep, and that's one thing too that, within the MOU, I think we should have a bond system as well,
I agree.
just so that way if
We have them buy
they
it.
fall out, then we actually have basically a security deposit in place,
Mhm.
paying for that.
What would be your example? I mean, I think just throw in a comment, sorry, but
No.
Yeah.
well,
just examples of how you would do that, like think of baseball fields
Mm-hmm.
or the soccer field. Like, how would you, bonds are weird in that when you buy a bond, like,
mhm.
that, you know, especially if you're looking at trying to be for like a 30-year project or a 50-year project
Right.
or something
Mhm.
like that. Like, so you have to like specify what kind of space you're thinking about
Yep.
for that bond, because otherwise that could be cost prohibitive
Yeah.
to get a bond for what, you know, and again, what are you trying to secure with that bond?
Mm-hmm.
You'd say just be thoughtful with, my recommendation, be thoughtful with that and how you think about that, because bonds are complicated and not used, I don't know, do you sell bonds? Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite project.
Yeah,
It's just-
yeah.
I just know, like, at a city level with
Resort tax.
business registrations and resort tax bonds, the kind of that same,
That's why most people don't do the bonds.
Mhm.
Almost everybody pays the fee.
I didn't think that was an option.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
I didn't get that memo.
I've had to pay a bond, so.
So you pay it, then you get it back after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
so-
basically pay
for like
ahead.
short-term
Yeah.
rentals or whatever.
I paid,
Yeah.
paid by 500 and,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
a bond.
that's
You're-
a
no, that's-
deposit,
Yes,
that's a
that's a
fee.
deposit, that's a very different deal.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Did
you're
you
That
paying
is,
a
label it-
deposit,
that
not a
is
bond.
poorly, written then, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Okay,
you
so
can-
yeah, deposit
You
totally
can,
works.
get a bond,
Mhm.
but basically you get a bond that secures that $500. That's like, these bonds are,
Gotcha.
It's like you pay $100 or something for $500.
yes, yeah, you
So-
pay, so you would go to Patty and you pay $100, and then they're gonna assess the risk, and then that's how they decide how much that gets paid.
That seems entirely
Based on the
complicated.
risk, there's a lot of logistics in,
Okay, so more so,
understand what you're asking for.
So
now I
maybe
immediately
more of a-
reshifted, we're doing a deposit
A
and skipping bonds.
deposit. I feel like
Yeah.
a deposit would probably be worded better and a little more
Yeah.
understanding for those.
Yeah, and probably easier just in terms of actual logistics and accounting.
Yeah. don't
But
know.
I do want to actually talk with Lonnie how that account would look, because in my eyes, a deposit, that is basically going into a trust account.
Correct, and in the event.
It would be,
And how far will $500 go?
And that's
It depends on what
the
you're asking for and what the
Stuff,
situation
yeah.
is, but just understanding the bond thing.
Yeah.
Determine that, yeah, dollar amount.
yeah, okay, noted. That does help reshift
Yeah,
thought process
thank you.
significantly.
Like an aha moment for all of it.
Well, I was like, aren't bonds kind of like, yeah.
Anyhow. On that note, reshifting from bonds. Regardless, we do want some sort of skin in the game financial
Deposit. And
investment.
I feel like having I mean, that's just with any sort of, like, any application that we've done, right? Isn't there a deposit that they have to make whenever like, someone reserves another?
No,
The application.
they make an application fee of like $50 and a cleaning deposit of like $200.
Oh, but okay, so cleaning deposit,
Yeah,
but I feel like, interesting.
yeah. So just when I'm thinking of a baseball field and I want to put in bleachers and I want the grass to be a certain way and there's sprinklers, but I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to personally pay for it. That's my commitment. And then a year later, like, oh, I can't pay for this. Then that comes back to the city. What do we have in place to secure, call it $10,000 worth of fees?
That is a situation where a bond might work, because what you're trying to do is, you're sorry, but.
Yeah, see, this is why I thought bond made sense.
You're trying to ensure, so it depends on who's funding the money.
Yeah.
Because basically what that would be what's called a performance bond.
Yes.
Essentially, so what you're trying, and it could be done as a deposit, but essentially what you're trying to do is ensure that the work that you said would be done. Now, sometimes that requirement is actually on the contractor,
Mm-hmm.
so the performance bond happens on the contractor's end, not on, to make sure that they actually complete the work that they're
Right.
completing.
I think it's not so much the work getting completed in terms of like the project is being built. It's more so the maintenance of it over time. That's one of the big concerns. Is like we can see, like you can show me a proof of funds that you have enough money in a grant opportunity that will pay for this. But if you come up short, one, we're not fronting it, and two, if you're committing to maintaining this structure for the lifetime of this structure, which we know isn't realistic, it will eventually come back to us, but how long do we want them to commit to paying for it?
Like Pride Park,
Mhm.
that if the group dissolves,
Yeah.
or Lions Park and Lions Club,
Yep,
they're maintaining it, they're mowing it, so it's
Right.
less
Traffic
expensive
circle.
because of the MOU.
yep,
Then when that dissolves, who's stuck with the bill?
yeah. So same with, you have Shelley's Fields and, they decide that we don't want to do soccer now and now that's something we get a mow and we maintain, we water. And I think actually as of now, we're doing all of that anyhow,
Mhm.
based off what Mike Maples had told me.
Yeah, and he said that.
Was that part of the agreement or whatever with the fact that we would?
No, that they would. There is, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like and indefinitely, or it will eventually come back. Like, it's just a matter of how long and how much do we need it secured for? Like, is this the kind of expense that will either make this project no longer feasible for the city to maintain? Like, if we didn't have a city budget and the pool wasn't ran the way that it was, realistically, like, if someone said, if you had a nonprofit organization saying, we're gonna maintain, run, and operate this pool, and they backed out, like, that's,
Yeah, how do
We
we?
afford that annual cost.
yeah, and then, okay, now we have a dead pool that we can't afford, like, that's what we don't wanna have. We don't wanna have something that's essentially rotting.
What's the solution to
I think the answer to that is we need to figure out what that long-term maintenance looks like, and
Yeah.
it may look like the city taking out, like, so,
Appropriate the plan.
again, if you look at, like, the fields, like, okay, we need more soccer fields. And everybody agrees we need more soccer fields, so they raise the money to build the soccer fields with the understanding that once they're built, then
Yeah.
the city will maintain them.
Right.
And the city could, and a soccer field's an easy one, because you could choose not to water and mow it, and then you just wouldn't have a soccer field, right? And so there's not long-term cost there, but what you do is you commit to that
Mhm.
maintenance in the process, and what you avoid is the capital infrastructure
Right.
Yep.
to do that.
Agreed.
So, but you probably wouldn't want, so it would just depend.
Yeah.
Depend on the situation. So I think you just want to leave that open, that it may be very situational.
And that's kind of where
Hey,
my
yeah,
mindset
there's
is,
ABC.
like, that
There you
becomes a
go.
condition
Got
of,
Oh, there we go. ABC, application.
Yep.
Yep.
You scroll down.
oh no, I can scroll down.
ABC,
We'll go down to our ABCs.
ABC. This one took us,
Okay, applications at minimum, is this where you wanted to be, or you wanna go down further to the width?
that's kind of where, like, you said it kind of came from planning board, like, some of this
Mhm.
usage, or the verbiage.
Yeah, so like project narrative and scope,
Yeah.
will a zone map amendment be required? Like having essentially this application that they can go through, and it should be able to detail out for our city staff, our city council and everything, all the questions that we would need to know. As well as show the letters of support, the expected maintenance costs, project budget.
So yeah, number 10, expected maintenance.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest focuses we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So, going to application types, application A, B, C, this is where, again, Tom kind of talking about those conditional pieces and those things that you need to stay open for. Basically, we're seeing this as there's going to be weighted applications. There's going to be some that can literally bypass advisory committees. Yes, you are allowed to plant that tree in honor of your mother at Pride Park. It's approved, like, please do that. What?
A question on MOU.
Sure,
So every park seems to have an MOU, at least one,
at least one.
with an organization.
Mm-hmm.
Lions Park, I'm assuming, has more than one MOU because of the ice rink.
Mm-hmm.
So what power do these organizations have for additional groups
Feedback.
coming in and using the same ground
I would
for
imagine
different
like
purposes?
any other contract, does it impede on what they have permitted to them for that use?
Mhm.
And then if there's anything within that MOU that says, hey, city's giving you the power to make this decision, then that's binding in my eyes. That's how contracts work, and that's what an MOU in my eyes is. So,
So the current example would be Lions.
mm-hmm,
What is their MOU?
yep.
What's their responsibilities and what's their,
And
their
again,
control?
what other
Versus Red
MOUs?
Lodge Ice,
Yeah.
who comes in seasonally
Mm-hmm,
to use a portion of the park,
yep,
which is gonna get much more complicated now.
yep.
Well,
I'm just curious how those MOUs mesh right now, and
Boy, that's,
what's the process?
and again, I may have mentioned this to you the other day, but that's one of my intentions is to find those MOUs.
Yes, we went through.
Before making any sort of,
I think we started doing it last year. I don't know if it was, I think it was pre-Patty.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
haven't
And I
brought it
think
up, but it's a great
Sandy
idea.
pulled up 20 pages of MOUs,
just lists.
20
Yeah,
just lists, and some were no longer, some
many of them no
had
longer.
expired, but they just
They're
kind of kept
still
rolling with
operating,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up. Some were like, who was that organization? I think I heard of them in 1985, like.
I'm just curious how it fits into this process.
Right.
So within this process, and I'm gonna kind of go back to this, it's one of the things that we have had as a point of needs to be addressed within those applications as well as the review process is, does this project impede or conflict with anybody else's use? So we talk about engage or improve, hurt or take away from another population or displace. So I think in that instance, that would be an MOU. What other MOUs are in place? I could have swore we had that written in here somewhere. Again, this is a clustery mess.
Yeah, I know we, where did we add it?
I know we've discussed
We
it.
did, and I thought we added it in there.
Just going through.
Here,
Does it disrupt other users or community
so
members?
if you scroll down to
Which one are you in? This one, I'm assuming?
I'm on the edited,
one.
the red
Okay,
one.
mm-hmm.
And scroll down to, say, page 5.
Oh boy, how
Page
many
6.
page numbers are here?
Well, no, just what you're, like, I'm in the Google Doc, page 6, right now in there. If
Okay.
there's some stuff in there. Number 7,
Hello! Number 7, got it.
yeah. And we just put the MOU should include penalties and use is breached, but there's a whole lot more that,
Oh, yeah.
And that's future MOUs, not
And I think
cross-reference.
going back
Mhm.
to before the city council review and approval, I think it needs to be a part of the city staff review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they need to be aware of if there are any MOUs and if, so the same way that one of our questions, I think we should add it here in application A, B, C,
Okay.
somewhere in here where it's, does this affect an MOU holder for that space?
Yeah.
So going back to the tree, a commemorative tree for my dog. He loved to pee here and now I want him to have a tree where he can pee. Just
Wait
a
till
rough
she makes it
example.
longer.
If I wanted to do that in Lions Park, having to go to the MOU holders as a part of that
Right,
advisory.
so, I mean,
Is that something we feel should happen? I mean, they might not have the authority.
I feel like we should just double check to make sure we're not in breach of any contract.
Yeah, we
with
should
anyone.
definitely be reviewing that
Oh.
MOU.
mhm.
So that should be a part of, where should we?
And
The good
determine
example of
if
that
that's-
is with, right now, is what's going on at coal miners.
Yeah,
And they had the user groups get together, because tenants
Yep.
wanted to come in and, you know, the, tennis, frisbee golf people
yep,
are already an MOU user group. So we were adding a new user group with a competing type thing, so.
yep. Adding a new user group with competing interests.
Right, so that's,
Yeah, and then I think you also have to look at, you know, like, oh, wow, it seems with a tennis court,
mhm.
kind of obvious that, you know, you're probably not gonna try to, if some other group comes and wants to use that space and you've just spent $1 million to build tennis courts, you're probably not gonna back that out, right?
Yeah.
But to use your example, because this happened, how do you deal with the memorial tree
Mm-hmm.
that now is in the only thing that's in the middle of where you wanna put the tennis courts?
Yep.
And do you cut that memorial tree down, or is that locked in, and now you can't build an entire tennis court because one person, because the council said
They have a memorial.
15 years ago that they could put a memorial tree for somebody who hasn't even lived here for 10 years for their dog.
Yeah.
So that probably is a good way to kind of think about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that, you know, where some of your minor uses, you might think of that as a minor use being a memorial tree, but it might have long-standing impacts
Mhm.
to future user groups.
Yep.
Unless you say, yes, we allow memorial trees, however, any memorial tree can be removed
Yep.
at any time.
And that's
Just so you know.
legitimately one thing that we do have in here is for application A, we'll call it the
Mhm.
light application, lease intensive,
No long-term
And then-
commitment.
easily reversible alterations.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah,
Yeah.
you can remove a tree easily,
Yep,
Right,
just make.
but making
yeah.
sure that when it's written in there and it's approved,
Yeah.
that it's also easily reversible and it's not locked in.
right, limited
Yep.
community impact, yeah, easily reversible.
So that is a very good point. Now that we are at 5:10, because that went very quickly.
Oh,
One, we're just gonna jump right into homework, and then I know Tom had something to say. I apologize, that was sloppy and messy, and I wish that was a little bit tighter and we were able to get more done. But I think what we should do is with this letter that we got back, I think we need to look at this letter of intent, and he says applications at minimum should include. What other pieces, based off our other notes that we have, should be included in that letter of intent? What things do we want to know before we even allow it to move forward to step 2? And I think addressing that right now is where we should start and try and draft up a letter of intent at this point,
mhm.
or just that application, what that looks like. We want to keep it brief and simple. Again, we don't want it to be prohibitive, but at the same time, we do want it to at least help us vet. And so I think that's a good thing for us to look at before our next meeting, and then from the next meeting, we'll actually have a rough draft. I'll try and put together a rough draft based off this feedback, and then we can add or remove from that. How's that sound?
Okay,
Agreed.
so you don't want us to.
No, I want you guys to come back with what you want, unless,
Okay.
Patty, you're always asking for things to do. Do you want to come up with a rough draft?
I have a letter of intent?
Yeah, so right there, if you look behind you, that application at minimum should include.
Yes, okay.
And this letter of intent section, let's take that and actually come up with a form that can be filled out.
Okay.
So when someone asks, like, I want to put in this tree, we might actually have something that we could send them, like, this is what we want to know before we even consider your tree. Very aggressive about the trees. And then from there, we can actually start to look at the different application processes and what those need to include and what those timelines will look like after we get those application processes kind of locked in. So we're making progress, very slowly.
I think
Government.
so. From nothing to
Yeah.
categories and all those steps, I think that
Your flow
we've
chart's
come
amazing.
a long way. I love it. I love the flow chart.
So simple.
I was listening earlier to your meeting, and I want to say one thing. When you're, to me as a council person, I want to know, when it finally gets to the approval stage, what is the cost of maintenance? Because I feel that we as the city
Yep.
have to be prepared to take that over
Yep.
at the drop of a hat.
Yep.
So I don't think there's any bond that you can get to take over the maintenance and stuff. It's only a completion bond on the construction project
Yeah.
itself.
Okay, cool.
So we as a city council have to decide if this, because there's a lot of talk right now of creating a big rec center for the hockey rink.
Would
And
be
I
awesome.
said over and over again, that was vetted 6-7 years ago. And we may be able to raise the $27 million, but the city has no way for operations and maintenance and something like that to
Yeah.
handle that in our budget.
And it is on the application at a minimum should include, and like number 10 is expected maintenance costs.
Yep.
We were probably talking about it when you were
As
driving.
you were driving.
Okay, yeah.
You needed to keep it on while you were driving.
Yeah, that was just my comment as city council.
Oh, yeah, no, this has literally been like,
I'm like,
I think the three things we had probably said at nauseum throughout this whole piece
Yeah.
is, what's it gonna cost the city? Who's it gonna piss off? And who's gonna take care
Who's
of
gonna
it?
take care of it?
Those are basically the three number one things we think of.
And as the resort tax had on, we do not want to use 100% of our resort tax
Right.
for one project.
Yep, and that's actually one thing we do have included in here is what additional funding might be required from the city just for the application. So again, matching funds.
Matching funds.
Are you gonna need a chunk of parks budget? Like, that is something that's absolutely considered and included. And, yeah, so those are the big ones for us. And then, again, support, looking at our growth policy, looking at the downtown master plan. I think those are gonna become massive keys for big projects because end of the day, there's always gonna be someone that's upset about taking green space.
Just a comment there, there's three pieces there. The downtown master plan probably has very little importance as opposed to, like, you've got very few of your parks are actually in the downtown area.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other thing is that the parks are zoned public use. So the zoning is very specific, so that is also very specific in there. It's not like there's, it's parks, so there's not a variety of zoning.
Right.
It's a park, its own park. But just making sure that those pieces that you're saying are applicable really seem like they're applicable to city land.
But one thing to just keep in mind with this too is it's not necessarily just for changes of parks. So this could also be changing park to developable residential space. That this is a large scale application format to where
All city owned.
yeah. So essentially, like a good example, top of Brewery Hill, the land that we just acquired, is technically park space.
So it's public.
Public space.
Public
Space, but it's not park space. Yeah.
But in the middle
Not
of
a
it is
dedicated park.
C3.
Yeah,
It's still,
So,
it's zone public use, it's PU.
yeah.
but not the little chunk we just got. That's C3. In the middle of it, the
But
horseshoe.
typically, when you acquire it, then it gets rezoned PU.
So, well,
Just thinking about that
Yeah.
process, right?
Yep.
Just think about how that,
All of it should be.
yes.
yeah, and I think about that with like urban renewal district as well, where it's like, okay, do we want this commercial space to become residential space? Like those,
But I will comment that you are right in something like if you look at the Silver Strike, what the city owns.
Right.
Yeah.
The
That's-
lease
that's-
is,
mhm.
so if they were to want to improve that, that would be a different process.
Yeah.
So I'm probably corrected in that it's not every piece, you're right.
Not every piece, but it's gonna be the majority of them.
Right.
You're right.
It is.
So again, it just, really making sure that if something comes across the table, all the parties that need to be involved are, and that the proper channels and processes and history is being evaluated. I think that's a really important piece. Going back and figuring out, okay, why was this park dedicated this way X many years ago? And is it something, I think back to, and again, I know we're going over time on this, but I think back to where I grew up, and we had a dedicated park that was just all trees, that the city received in someone's trust, and it was supposed to be nature space and hiking trails and a nature preserve within our community. The city then traded that land with another commercial entity so they could build a city hall downtown, and then that became a Fred Meyer and a Burger King. And don't get me wrong, Fred Meyer and Burger King were a lovely addition to our community, but the town basically boycotted them for 3 years until they're like, God, this is really convenient. And, but.
Well, in my life, once it's a dedicated park, it takes a vote of the voters to change
Right.
the use. But public land is different. It's
Yeah.
just a dedicated park
Mhm.
that you cannot.
But again, I just don't want to miss out on something and say, oh yeah, go for it, and then
Yeah.
us not realizing that was dedicated.
Yeah, back in the day, someone so said, yeah.
So again, just making sure we actually go through that title, if you will. Okay, anyhow, Tom, you had something for us?
Well, it does, it relates to this a little bit, actually, shockingly. So, the fire department received a $2 million grant, to improve the fire station, kind of a super big deal. It was contained in, a piece of the agricultural bill in the, that was passed with continuing resolution. And so, it was secured by Congressman Downing, and so we're super excited about that funding. It does require a significant match fund, and probably will require more than what the match is to even do what we hope to do. But what it means is there's a couple things. One is it gives us some opportunity to improve our fire station, which we need. But trying to figure that out is a little challenging. Our hope is to maybe be able to acquire a piece of land that we do not own, although that is proving to be more challenging than I thought it would be. And there is actually City Street, believe it or not, right in front of the fire station currently, which may be impacted by this as well. So more, this is just to say, hey, this is on the horizon.
Okay.
As we start to move forward with it, we will probably need to move forward quickly. The money has to be committed by September. So that means we have to have the plan, the zoning, the land, the design, all of that has to be.
By like 2026 September?
Yes,
Oh.
yeah, so this is gonna be, like, it has to be rocket speed. I mean, there's no question about that. So we're gonna have to look to eliminate any roadblocks or humps that might be along the way while
Yeah.
still going through the processes that we need to go through to get it approved and moving forward. So that really is my purpose, to just throw this on your radar
Okay.
and to say that it is gonna come quickly, and it's gonna be a big project. And we don't really know what it's gonna look like right now because we have a vision for it, but I'm even hesitant to produce the vision to you right now because we don't have the ability to enact that vision. But we're hoping that we can get there.
Are you thinking about getting rid of the road next to the fire department now?
Which one? The one that
The one
leads,
in between?
the one between you and the fire?
So that's an alley. No, we're not. And actually, believe it or not, that alley does not go all the way.
Second, third?
No,
No.
third, second, first.
What?
Because that's Robinson
So
over
here,
there.
this is Third
Yeah.
Street. This
Second.
is Second Street. Nope.
No?
This is Second Street right here. And First Street is up here. Yeah.
It would be right there. No, it'd be here.
Yeah, see,
Here.
look,
Here.
look, you
Make
can,
it better.
you can chunk
Is it the
those
one
out.
that goes
It's
by
this,
the,
it's this.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. So,
That's it, right there.
It's second, yeah, because
okay.
it doesn't show it. It's
Okay.
actually built out now.
Perfect.
First, second,
I'm like,
first, second,
confused.
third, yeah. Yeah, it's just, this is built now, it just wasn't built when the
Okay.
photo was taken.
Cool.
This was all a trailer park at
Yeah.
one point, and it's not any longer.
Yeah.
So this is where, Second Street is built out here.
It's so funny, I've looked at this
Yeah.
map 100 times and I've
Yeah.
never noticed that.
Yeah.
but no, you're not,
Yes.
yeah. I
Okay.
just wondered, okay.
Yeah.
And you're trying to acquire land near there, or
Yeah,
just somewhere
right here.
completely new?
North.
It's this piece right here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. Oh.
Yeah, but it's, we don't own it, so that's not.
Well, if you want my house, I'm taking offers.
So that's our plan. Obviously, again, it is a big project, so it's at a minimum a $3 million project.
Mhm.
Pretty much 2.8, probably will end up being closer, I would guess, to 3.5, which is just, if we go, just to give you a concept, our hope is to build the building somewhere between $200 and $300 a square foot. The most recent fire stations that I know are typically building between $600 and $700 a square foot. Big Sky is in the process of completing a fire station that is $2,000 a square foot.
That,
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, I wanna go
Yeah,
see that.
so 10 times what we're talking about. So we're on the very low end of trying to figure out how to make these funds, be as most used to get the most benefit for the least amount of money. So, I don't know anything to add.
What's your match requirement?
The match is, it's basically, I think it's $750,000 to $800,000 is the match requirement.
woo!
Sean's been involved in this process for a long time too, so.
Just that we need it.
We Yeah.
really do need it.
Yeah, so it's a big deal for us. It's actually a little bit around vehicle storage, but mostly it's around meeting and training room space.
Yeah.
But our vehicle storage isn't very good, so our hope is to move our vehicle storage over, and then where our vehicle storage is to build meeting and training room space, because then that solves all,
Yeah.
where if we just build meeting and training room space, then we don't solve our vehicle storage issue.
Yeah.
That we then would have to solve in the future. But depending on what kind of land use we can get, we might have to go a different direction. So that's what we're working on.
Gotcha.
Wow. How long has that building been there now?
The fire station?
Yeah.
So, it was built in the late 80s. The main
No, I
portion-
mean, like, how long have you guys had it? It hasn't, like,
So-
what was it before you were
Okay,
there?
so before it was a fire station, it was the first Pepsi bottling plant.
Yes, okay, thank you.
So the Dimiches had that, they donated it to the fire station, the fire department, in the early 80s, and then the building that is the primary where we keep our trucks was built in the late 80s. It was built mostly with volunteer labor, cost about $60,000 to build 10,000 square feet. Just to give you an idea of, done at $6 a square foot. Is that right? $6 a square foot? 60,000 on 10,000 square feet? Just make sure I get my zeros correct. And has served us well. It just was built to just be a fire station, fire department, and it was built to just be a rural fire station.
Yeah.
So when we built that, when the rural fire district, before I was here, built that station, we had the city fire station was next door. This was all fire department space, as was upstairs.
Yep.
So it was this upstairs and next door. The police were in where the building inspector is. That was where the police
A little
lived.
cubby hole over there.
And the clerk was in this. There was only this other space next door. So over time, we've taken what was just supposed to be for the rural fire district. We have the rural and city fire departments combined, as well as EMS and search and rescue all in there. So it seems like a very big building, but in a lot of communities, you would go and you would see that for one part of the fire department, you'd see EMS someplace else, you'd see search and rescue someplace else. And so it does seem big and overwhelming, but it's because of everything that we do in the area that we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you were to eliminate even one of those pieces, we would not need that space that we have. And so, for example, to meet the ISO requirements for the city, we have to have 3 fire engines. To do it for the rural fire district, you only need 1. So it just,
Okay.
and then you know, as the ambulance service has gotten busier, we need more ambulances. And then we have trucks for search and rescue, so all that expands. And then
How
we
many,
have,
how
then
many
we
are house
do,
there?
what's that?
How many do you have house there now, like the fire, how many, I don't even know.
Someone told me we have 30 vehicles total.
I do.
I didn't actually count myself. We have a lot of vehicles.
Yeah.
I was just curious,
It's
because I had no,
complicated.
I'm like,
It's complicated. So
don't
we
know what
have,
all
I mean, just in certain terms of fire protection and EMS,
Uh-huh.
we have 3 fire engines that we have to have.
Mhm.
We have 2 rescue trucks used for vehicle accidents, motor vehicle accidents, search and rescue. We have 3 tenders, 2 primary and 1 backup. They hold water.
Okay,
We have 5 wildland firefighting trucks, for obvious reasons. We have 5 ambulances,
wow.
all right, and so,
And all of these are there?
No.
no,
They're
some
not
of them,
pretty
some of them are now up by our training center, so we have a building up
Okay,
there.
yeah, I saw the.
So we built that building up by the training center to try and reduce what we needed to keep down here.
Mhm.
So all of our backup equipment
It's
is
up
up there, so
Immediate.
then what's left down here is only primary response
Okay,
apparatus. So, and we're trying to balance that, but we can't fit it all in there right now.
Nope.
And then we have a meeting room that is smaller than this,
Yep.
and we have 120 volunteers.
wow.
And so, and then the other problem is that when you walk into the building, you walk into the meeting room. So if there's,
Yeah.
and we do community CPR training,
Mhm.
first aid
Mhm.
training, fire training, EMS training, search and rescue training,
Oh.
and all of it happens right in there. And so people walk into the middle of the meeting, it's awkward for them and the people in the meeting and in the training. And, you know, somebody comes in because they want to talk to somebody about a fire issue, and they walk into the middle of the CPR class. And, I mean, yeah.
You need space.
We need space.
Yep.
We need space in order to serve the public, and, you know, we're super fortunate that, we got the support to help, do that, but we originally were gonna ask for $6 million, because that's what we believed it cost,
Mhm.
and we dumped it down to the $2 million ask, because we believed that would be more likely to get it, and we thought that we could figure out how to do this for the lower amount of money.
Yep.
But it literally, to say the total project is probably half of what we need, is being honest, and so there's still sacrifices we have to make this work. So we've got to get it figured out, and we've got to do it relatively quickly.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So,
Easy
yeah.
peasy.
yeah.
Well, we'll hopefully have a letter of intent application for you. And then in that process, again, I think this is actually probably good. I mean, I think it's stuff that you know that we'd be looking for, but just to know that we are working on it is helpful.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this will
Yeah,
be,
and this is probably a little bit of a different process than you would normally go through regardless, because
yeah,
this is public use, so it's a different, piece. And most of the process we would go through with this would actually be standard building and zoning
yeah.
pieces. So if we were able to acquire the land,
Mhm.
we would acquire the land, then we would need to get it rezoned to public use, and then we would need to build the building in accordance with.
Or not zoning, but
Zoning, yes, with zoning, because
Right,
that,
September.
City planning.
yeah, with zoning and, you know, and then there's the piece of, do you build the cheapest building you can build, or do you build a building the community can be proud of?
Yeah.
And so
But
that's
not Big Sky.
That's a not big sky, right? Yes, a not big sky. So there's that balance there. You don't want, you know, ideally you want to have it to be a building that's going to last 100 years and be something that in 30 years, people will still go, that's a really nice building.
Especially the city entrance.
And
Yeah.
especially in the city entrance, that becomes very important. But there's a cost to that,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? So you have to be willing to pay that as a community. We have to be willing to pay that cost.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then, real quickly, because we're 15 minutes over time, Mayor Yvette, did you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think everything's been covered. I did put the email address for the pilot tourism grant up there in chat for you guys.
Thank you. I don't know myself there.
Fabulous.
She'll pull it up.
there. All right, well, I think if that is everything, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and, have a lovely snowy evening.
Thank you all, you too.
I don't know.
Oh, good.